Why did Hitler send the troops to Russia so late in the year? Because by the time they got there, you know, the weather was so cold.
Yes.
And the other question is about the name of Hitler. Isn't it a really unique name? I mean, I'm just kind of wondering. It doesn't sound...
Okay, the name of Hitler is an easy one to answer. It was originally Hiedler, if you go back in his genealogy. Hiedler, and there are various other bowdlerizations of it before that. There's no mystery over that. Why Hitler sent his troops to Russia relatively late? People like to say, in fact, they say, well, if he hadn't done his little sideshow in Greece in April 1941, then he would have got into Russia earlier in May as he originally planned, and he wouldn't have ended up in a mess at the end of the year with not enough time to take Moscow. In theory, yes. In practice, no. General Guderian said under interrogation that as things turned out, the waterways and rivers along the frontier line, along the front line area, were flooded until mid-June 1941, so they couldn't have launched the attack on Russia anyway, even if they'd wanted to, in May. And as things then turned out, an unusually early winter set in, and that was Hitler's downfall. But in fact, it was also his medical problems that led to his downfall. He originally had wanted to ignore Russia, and his original strategy called for an immense encirclement movement, with one army going towards Leningrad, the other army going towards the Caucasus, and then meeting behind Moscow. He said that the only thing that will bring the Soviet Union down is depriving Stalin of his resources, his raw materials, and we taking them over, tilting the balance, and that'll bring the Soviet Union down. The General Staff preferred the old-fashioned way of a full frontal assault on the enemy capital. And Hitler, in the middle of August 1941, was suddenly laid low with an attack of dysentery, which is clearly recorded in the Morel diaries. And he was effectively debilitated for 2 weeks, unable to take any part in the war conferences, unable to stand up to the General Staff. And during those 2 weeks, the General Staff recast the whole of the strategy on the Eastern Front, pulling armies away from the north and southern flanks of this attack, which Hitler had devised, and throwing them into a frontal assault on Moscow, with the result that none of these operations succeeded before winter set in. And that was the real cause of his misfortune in 1941.